So last class, I think we completed aquatic ecosystems. Okay. So today we'll start with pollution. Okay. So the basic definition of pollution is anything that is undesirable. Okay. So it can vary from person to person. Okay. So the normal air, okay, the road when you are traveling, for some people it will be normal. So like whether it will cause dust allergy. So for that person, it is pollution. Okay. Same music. Okay. So for the rock metal music, okay, for someone it is music. For someone it gives headache. So for them it is pollution. So pollution in most of the things it depends on the perspective. Okay. So here the part. So when you see in this light pollution, uh, radioactive, thermal, plastic, so are all like new things. Okay, but because in the air, water, soil, all this you would have studied, you would have come across in your school days. Okay, so so basically, if it is undesirable in the sense it causes any harm. Okay, so when it will be undesirable, if it causes any physical or emotional harms. Okay, so even psychological harm. So you hear something, you get a headache. That is also noise pollution. Okay, if there is too much of light in the room, you are unable to sleep. That is also pollution. That is light pollution. Okay, so and the light pollution, um, radioactive. Okay, so because of this radioactive substances. So basically, what are radioactive substances whose nucleus is unstable? Okay, so generally the substances that are like having a very heavy nucleus, okay, will be unstable. Okay, so because of this force of repulsion between the protons, okay, despite being together, there's excessive force of repulsion, and the bigger the nucleus, the higher the instability. Okay, so during that time, it will start releasing energy of various forms. So in the form of alpha particles, beta and gamma particles. Okay, and if it releases more of alpha particles, it is like very less dangerous to us because even a small cloth can stop the alpha particles. So beta is like it needs some thick layer. So gamma it will easily pass through, and gamma is an ionizing radiation. Alpha particle is nothing but positively charged helium ions. Okay, beta is electron, high moving, fast moving electrons. Okay, so gamma is pure energy, so it will easily pass through. So when it passes through, it will cause ionization. Okay, so basically, when ionization will occur, so when the electron is removed from the last orbit, when it will be removed when there is high energy. If we give any energy to that atom or molecule, so the electron in the last orbit will be removed. Okay, so if it happens in an excessive scale in our body, it will lead to mutations. Okay, and not all mutations should be in a long term. Even cancer is a form of mutation. Okay, the cell keeps on replicating. Okay, so in every cell in the gene there will be one code which will stop it from replicating at a certain pace, after a certain pace, or it will start to die. Okay, but cancer cell is where it stops this and the without stopping, it will keep on replicating unlimited times. Okay, so that will lead to, and more cells means more energy absorption. Okay, so so everywhere there is cancer. So normal of any thing that is going uncontrollably, we call it cancerous growth. Okay, similarly. Okay, so we start taking all the nutrients from our body. Okay, so the first symptom of cancer is the feeling of tiredness, because all the glucose will be taken by the cells for its growth. Okay, so that is where the problems arise. Okay, next, thermal pollution. So what is thermal pollution? Any idea? So where will this thermal pollution occur? Heat pollution. Heat. Okay, where will this occur? Huh? Huh? Industry and water emission. Coolant water. Okay, so thermal pollution, like how eutrophication is limited to water bodies. Adhe mari thermal pollution means it is strictly to water bodies where the temperature increases. Okay, and mostly on the because of industrial things. Sometimes even if it is very closer to or volcano fissure is opened. Okay, because of the heat of that layer, I mean that area, so the temperature might increase. Okay, and so we have seen like more the temperature of the water body, less is the oxygen carrying capacity, dissolved oxygen. Okay, The temperature increases, oxygen decreases, animals start dying out. Okay. So plastic pollution, we all know. Okay. So visual pollution, this is kind of aesthetic effect. Okay. So you have heard of this the beautification, city beautification projects in Sulangana. So that is basically because there is visual pollution, and this is very relative. Okay. So sometimes they will all also cover the slums because some international conference is happening. So that is according to them, that is visual pollution. Okay. But whenever there is rapid urbanization, slums are a part of it. Okay. So if you take on the urban ecological scale, if you take the carbon footprint, actually slums have the lowest carbon footprint. Okay. So that is why they say like a refrigerator in United States has an equivalent carbon footprint of a family in Mali. Okay. So which means one family in an African city is having the same carbon footprint of one equipment in a developed city, developed country. Okay. So basically, if you take, for example, we have this four-floor building. Okay. So even for the ground floor, you have to take the water to the top floor. So basically, you are wasting like 3 floors of water to be pumped. So everything adds to carbon footprint. Okay, so that is the thing. Okay, so actually, if you see, we see in a larger scale, slums are actually more carbon effective. Okay, so, and they are like very dynamic. If you have visited some slums, okay, so morning the roads between the houses, they will be used for walking. So once everyone goes to the work, so all the cottage industry will be done on the roads. It's like very dynamic thing. So sometimes we have seen like the Japanese concept, the houses where they convert every furniture into one thing. So night it will be bed, so they'll fold it, morning it'll turn into an office the same way. Okay, it's a perfect blend. Or you can take a simple example of Indian roads. Okay, so if you take the United roads of US, okay, so half of the time they'll actually be empty. Okay, but Indian roads, for example, US will have the six-lane road only in the just for the morning traffic. So we'll have 3-lane roads. Okay, so we'll be like, so if we have to take it to 6 lane, half the buildings we have to demolish. So for that, it's better to stand for daily half an hour in traffic. So that's the blend because even in the noon time, the roads will be occupied. Okay, so it's like and the visual pollution of it depends on like the mindset. Okay, but whatever some people considered as pollution will be beneficial for the other people. Okay, so that is also the okay. Okay, that is, I mean, this is strictly with respect to visual pollution, but other pollutions, it is always dangerous. For example, air pollution. Okay, so I may not show the symptoms. Okay, I may not have dust allergy. Actually, the people with dust allergy will be fine in a long term because once you sense your body senses there is some problem, you will get out of the place. Okay, but if I don't have dust allergy, so I'll always keep inhaling. Okay. So I am a person who uses masks since 2013 because that time here everywhere this metro work was going on. So when I came here, so you park a bike, afternoon it will be like brown color. So everything will be same color. You cannot say the black bike then the okay, எல்லாமே brown ஆகும். Okay, so much of dust. Okay, so I always wear a mask and I used to have less of cold. My roommates, they don't have dust allergy, so every 1 month or 2 months. Okay, so that is also one thing. Okay, if you are more sensitive, sometimes that will be an advantage in terms of this air pollution and water pollution. Okay, okay. So pollution, so a pollutant is something that causes a pollution. Okay, so just like how pollution is a process which affects human bodies, so pollutant, it directly or indirectly harms, and it may be physical, dust, chemical like sulfur dioxide or anything. So biological, for example, eutrophication, the algae that produces cyanotoxins, that is a problem. Okay, that is a pollutant. Okay, so a pollutant can be physical, chemical, or biological. So generally, when we think of pollution, we think of smoke or any other thing. So chemical process, but simple dust is not a chemical, but it causes. So whenever we inhale, dust is actually sharp. Okay, cold. No. நீங்க வச்சுக்கோங்க. ஓகே. So dust basically நீங்க inhale பண்ணீங்கன்னா, so the dust will be very, your lungs will be very sensitive to the dust. So to stop it from scratching your air pipe, so it will cause that flame. Saline சொல்றோம்ல, so that is basically to cover the dust. Okay, so that it will not damage your internal the tissues. Okay, so any bigger environmental act, not only in India, all over the world, environmental acts will always come after a disaster. Okay, so this Environmental Protection Act came after the Bhopal disaster. National Disaster Management Act after the tsunami. So India's new building codes after the Bhuj earthquake in Gujarat. Okay, Minamata Convention after the mercury poisoning in Japan. Okay, Vienna Convention after we found a very big ozone hole that was causing skin cancer. Okay, Kyoto Protocol. So this idea that greenhouse gases are causing global warming, so the first time it was published, I mean, first record of that publication is in an article published in 1907 or 8. Okay, and after the Second World War, Shell Petroleum, so they made a very big research and found that in 1953 itself, like we are pumping so much of gases in the atmosphere that they will cause global warming. Okay, but only after its effect were felt, so we came to this Kyoto Protocol, Doha Accords, Paris Convention, everything. But still, like, people are not taking it seriously. Okay. I mean, people in the sense, the common people are taking it seriously. The leaders, global leaders, they're not like. Okay, so what are the effects of pollution? Okay, so if something in your exam is asked, what are the effects of pollution? So use all this as your side readings. Okay, so you should the effects of pollution, we should split it like this. First is geological effects, like change in land patterns, depletion of resources. Okay, next is uh, either you can add melting of ice to geological effects, or you can add this to meteorological effects. Okay, so it increases the temperature, snow melt, okay. Then effect on biodiversity. Okay. Next, effect on humans. Okay, so if you classify like this, so it will have like a structurized answer. Okay, then you can use all this. Okay, so in this biodiversity, effect on biodiversity, you can write this: collapse of nutrient cycles, loss of biodiversity, humans increased prevalence of diseases. Okay, so this disease we can further classify. So, for example, air pollution, pulmonary diseases. Okay, skin related diseases, like that. So basically, mains answer writing is about diversifying your answer. Okay, so the more you diversify the answer, the more uh, it will fetch you marks. Okay. For example, uh, I have this format of classifying the answers into based on subjects. Okay, so they ask an answer, so it will definitely have a historical perspective. Okay, and in environmental answers, there's also geographical perspective. Okay, so impact, social impact, political impact, economic impact. Okay, so causes கேட்டாங்கன்னா geographical causes, historical causes, sometimes social causes also will be there. So for example, French Revolution, social causes, economic causes, political causes. Okay, so this five you have this on. Okay, geographical. So impact it will not be geographical impact, so it will be biological or biodiversity impact or ecological impact. Okay, so or this instead of this biodiversity, connect ecology. Okay, ecological impact. Okay, so like in this way, if you structurize your answers, okay, you'll get I mean, the flow will be good. So if they ask particularly on humans, okay, there how you have to split is impact on children. impact on old age population, okay, or impact on people living in slums, impact on people living near the coast, impact on agricultural community. Okay, so இப்படி split பண்ணாச்சுன்னா so you'll so first in that picture you'll get points. Okay, so for everything you just write 2 points, it is over. Or else you might have to think for like 4 points, 5 points. So if there are 7 splits, okay, for everything 2 points, totally 14 points you'll get. Answer will be over. Okay. Okay. So first, air pollution. So air pollution, it can be because of solid, liquid, or gaseous substance in the atmosphere. So solid is basically dust and particulate matter. So PM 2.5, PM 10 பார்த்திருக்கோம்ல. So that is dust and particulate matter. So 2.5 microns or 10 microns. Okay. So what is liquid? I mean liquid suspended in air. Any example? Fog, fog இல்லாம smoke. Okay, smoke plus fog. Smog, aerosols. Okay, gases, sulfur dioxide, here it is. So oxides of nitrogen, sulfur, carbon monoxide, lead oxide, all these are gas. Okay. Okay, so all these are primary pollutants. So when you burn something you get this carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide, sulfur dioxide, nitrogen dioxide. So now this will react with the atmosphere in the presence of with something in the atmosphere, mostly water vapor, or it will react to other components in the atmosphere in the presence of sunlight. Okay, so that will give rise to the secondary pollutants. Okay, so primary pollutant from direct burning. If two pollutants react and form, it is called secondary pollutant. Okay, the smog and acid rain is an example of secondary pollutant. Okay, so acid rain, it will corrode or anything that is calcium. Marble is metamorphized calcium. Okay, so calcium carbonate, when it undergoes metamorphism, so it becomes marble. Okay, so whenever there is acid rain, there will be erosion of or corrosion of marble called as marble cancer. Okay, similarly, whenever there is cold weather, and remember smog will always happen only when there is foggy conditions. So what is the conditions for fog? What are the two conditions for fog? Huh? Okay, அப்புறம் what are the characteristics of car? Four wheels, steering. Okay, correct. Water, but எப்பவுமே in air you will have water vapor. Okay, but it should be suspended in the dust. Okay, for that temperature inversion has to occur. Colder layer closer to the surface, warmer layer up. Okay, so for fog, one condition is temperature inversion, and second condition is presence of large number of dust and water vapor. Okay, so whenever there is colder air, I mean because of temperature inversion, water vapor will condense on the dust. Okay, so obviously we need to have more water vapor. Okay, so that will cause fog. Okay, if the dust is pollutant, it is able to react, so that is smog. Okay, na? Presence of, so for fog there is two conditions. Smog, the third condition is high levels of pollutants. Okay, so these are some of the examples of smog. So like the saying was, if the sky is beautiful, you can go out. But if air is beautiful, don't go out. Okay. So because only when there is too much of dust, too much of scattering will occur in the atmosphere. And that scattering, to sustain, you need fog. Okay. So that is dangerous. So there is two types of smogs. So one is London smog and one is Los Angeles smog. So one is because of sulfur dioxide, one is because of nitrous oxides, one is because of the industrial emission, and other is vehicular emission. So one is called oxidizing fog, other is called reducing fog. So you just go and check what is what. Okay. So there is one website which displays this infographics in the form of differences. I think it's difference.com or something like that. Okay. anything you put, so they'll have like small, most of the things, okay, small will be very useful for UPSC. Okay, even some, I mean, I studied my entire options. I mean, the last time I wrote an option was in anthropology. Okay, so I mean, half of the differences between apes, so gorilla and orangutan, humans, and this ape, that ape, that everything. So only like 7 or 8 points they would have given. Okay, that's one a very easy thing. Okay, so you can just so what you do is go and search London smoke versus Los Angeles smoke. So Google, you just click on images. So at one chart will be like exact the difference table photo. Okay, you just click that. I think that is the thing. Okay. Next, type of pollutants. So like we said before, two main types: primary pollutants and secondary pollutants. Okay. So primary pollutants, so the same form in which they are present, they are added to the environment. Okay. Secondary pollutants, they will react and form a new compound. Okay. So general thing is PAN, peroxyacetyl nitrate. Okay. So when nitrogen and hydrocarbons combine, so we have this. So this PAN you will regularly find whenever you are, say, examples or anything. Whenever you are reading anything about air pollution, you will find this PAN. Okay. It is nothing but peroxyacetyl nitrate, so formed by the combination of hydrocarbons and nitrogen oxides. Okay. So again, we will classify them as quantitative pollutants and qualitative pollutants. Okay. So whatever is found in nature, it is quantitative pollutants. Okay. So for example, if it does not occur in nature, and it is it is a product of human process. Okay. So it is qualitative pollutants. Okay. So DDT, so which is common pesticide. Okay, that is a qualitative, or weedicide, everything. Okay, mostly industrial process. Okay, so whatever the most of the agricultural inputs, they are qualitative pollutants. Okay, so these may react further to form secondary pollutants. Okay, ஃபங்கஸ் என்ன ஃபங்கஸ் வராமல் இருக்க கிடைக்கும். ஃபங்கிசைட்னா வந்து பூஞ்சை கொல்லின்னு சொல்லுவாங்கல்ல, அடிப்பாங்க, அது வராம இருக்கு. ஹெர்பிசைட்னா வீடிசைடு தான் ஹெர்பிசைட். வீடிசைட் களைக்கொல்லி. So most of the weeds are herbs. Okay, so there is one thing, when you're playing in the ground, you get injured. So the ground would have fringes இது பண்ணும். So வீட்ல சொல்றதுக்கு பயந்துட்டு, so we do our self medication and go. So ஒரு சின்ன ஒரு ஸ்டாக் வந்து பெருசா இருக்கும், சென்டர்ல yellow கலர்ல இருக்கும், சின்னதா. So that is actually a herb. Okay, but they just spray it and remove it. Weedicide, they spray weedicide on it to remove it. Okay, next, particulate pollutant. So basically, so pollutants, so we saw quantitative pollutant, qualitative pollutant, primary, secondary. So there are again two types: gaseous pollutant and particulate pollutants. Okay, sulfur dioxide, nitrous oxide, they are gaseous pollutant. Dust is particulate pollutant. Okay, soot is nothing but so the black carbon. Okay, MTC bus start பண்ணி first year போட்டு நவுத்தும்போது சைடுல வரும்ல, those things. Okay, but actually MTC buses are very good when you go to other states. Okay, so when last time when I went to Maharashtra in the rural areas, okay, so 1980s la vanda bus or red color bus. Okay, so those buses fourth gear le apdi tho. Okay, so totally black. Okay, something like that. So generally in the hills la, when you go to hills, because the first gear la too much of diesel will be consumed. So especially when they take the turn and then they push up, so you get, so that is very dangerous. Okay, because it has, because to give so much energy, the burning will take place at a faster rate. So there will be too much of incomplete combustion. Okay, so much of carbon monoxide and so much of smoke. So whenever the combustion is complete, we have less smoke. Okay, too much of smoke means it is incomplete. And in older engines, the combustion will not be complete because the piston, after going through so much of process, side la change. Okay, so it cannot completely compress and burn the air. So that is why too much of incomplete combustion, too much of smoke. Okay, so why older engines emit? And there is one thing called in bikes white smoke condition. After 60 or 65,000 kilometers, white smoke starts coming out. So it's because there's too much of pistons rubbing, so there'll be a gap in the pistons and the cylinder. Okay, so what will happen? This oil mixing will not happen properly. So because of that, the white smoke comes. So whenever they say when white smoke comes, you have to reboil the engine and then do that. Okay. So next, so all this, okay, improper maintenance. Okay. So why now we are having free air? So 20 years before there was no concept called free air in petrol pumps. Okay. So free air itself was bought because to reduce the petrol consumption. And the year the free air system was bought, it is mandatory to be installed in all petrol pumps because people that time it was like 50 paise for filling the tire. Okay, so that also people will not spend because petrol itself was 20 rupees. Okay, so 50 paise for filling the tire, so they'll always have this low pressure. Okay, they'll always run in low pressure, so less mileage, so more fuel consumption. Okay, so then when the first time free air was introduced, so that time you have this, you don't have like this normal the mechanized air fillers. So you'll have guys sitting with the cycle pumps in the corner. All of them went out of jobs. Okay, but still, the year that came, actually India's petrol consumption was increasing every year. But when that came, that year it will be a drop. So we are wasting so much petrol because we were not filling the air. Okay. Next, size, it ranges from 0.001 to 500 micrometers. Okay, and the particulate size less than 2.5 is causes the greatest health hazard. So basically, it is PM 2.5. There are two things: PM 2.5 and PM 10. Okay, and the measuring of 2.5 is the size. Okay, so smaller the particle, greater is the risk to human health. Okay, so based on this, a UPSC question was asked. Okay. So PM10 is more lethal. Yeah, it is wrong because we have 2.5. If there is no measurement till PM10 or PM10 and 50 we have, then PM10 is lethal. But we our classification itself we have PM 2.5 and PM10. So obviously that is wrong. And that year, if you just eliminate that one, so you will get the answer. Okay. So like I said, UPSC at times they just want you to know the basics. Okay. If you know the basics and exceptions, so most of the environment question you can answer. Okay. So these fine particles, when inhaled, they cause respiratory problems. And also, you should remember this: there will only be exchange of gases in the lungs. There will be no exchange of solids. If there is exchange of solids, so whatever you breathe will go into your bloodstream. Okay, cigarette will kill you instantly because it has tar. Okay, so you just Google lungs of a smoker. So they'll like crush the lungs and remove the tar. Okay, so basically, if that goes inside your bloodstream, 2 or 3 days, your blood will start collapsing because clots will start to happen. Okay, next, fly ash. So fly ash comes mostly from thermal power plants. Okay, because of coal burning operations and fly ash la patina. So you have like not only this carbon but also heavy metals. Okay, so like I told you, coal is because of this deposition. Okay, it is deposited between the sedimentary layers, and over a course of time, it starts accumulating. Okay, so layer of rock, coal, again a layer of rock. So now leaching also will be happening in the soil, and soil contains every nutrients. Okay, so even like if you scan this road for gold, you will find. Scan this road for uranium, you'll find. But is it in extractable quantities? That is the reason. If gold is like 1 gram is for 20 or 25 lakhs, then if you scan this entire road, you'll be profitable. But for 5,000 rupees approximately, so for 5,000 this is not profitable. Okay, so that is the thing. Okay, so all the heavy metals of mercury, cadmium, chromium, all those will be in this fly ash, but is it in sufficient quantity? No. Okay, it is less lethal. Okay, but still, why fly ash is considered a problem means, so it is like very fine. It can easily be suspended in air. Similarly, if we deposit on the land, it will go and clog the soil pores. எல்லா கேப்பும் போய் அடைச்சுக்கும். Okay. So because of that, it will be lethal to plant growth. Okay. So that is one of the reason. So previously they used to have this fly ash pits. They will just dump it, keep on dumping it. Or if there's a river, they will mix it with the river. Okay. Now we have found a utility for fly ash. Okay. So resources, there are like a lot of categories like potential resources. Um, one category is uh, consumable resources. Okay, so potential resources, like we we have the idea of how to use it, but we don't have the technology to use it. Okay, for example, suppose we have not invented solar cells. Sun is a potential resource for electricity generation. Okay, because theoretically we know. Okay, but practical application is not yet on the ground. Okay, that is potential resource. Okay. Okay. Next, mining. Okay, so mostly mining, we are excavating the earth. Whenever we are mining, so we get oxides of iron, aluminum, magnesium, manganese. Okay, and they create physiological, biochemical, and development disorders in plants, everything. Okay, so because all these will go and clog the soil, so plant or roots they will be absorbed. They go inside the plant and they just block the plants. Okay, so yeah, நீங்க எல்லாரும் நல்லா இருக்கீங்க. Almost everyone yawned, I think. Any climate issues? Climate dull. So if you want any face wash, you can just go. Okay, so you don't need to ask permission. I'll just sit. அவரை மட்டும் இல்ல, அவரையும் சேர்த்து, அவரோட நிறைய பேர். Okay, fine. Next, lead. Okay. So lead is present in almost batteries, paints. Okay, now we have reduced the use of lead, but previously all the paints used to have lead. Okay, and petrol, like I said, previously this tetraethyl lead used to be mixed in petrol. Okay, so 15 years back, if you go to a petrol pump, you will find like unleaded leaded petrol. Okay, so why lead was used is because it acts as an anti-knocking agent. Sometimes when you are going in the road, okay, you will find one vehicle crossing and suddenly you hear like something has blasted. You might think a tire has blasted. So that is knocking. Okay, how knocking happens is, so there will be an air pocket, okay, inside the piston. Okay. Suppose if it is an air, I mean, basically air should mix well with the fuel. If it doesn't mix, it will form an air packet and that will blast. So that is knocking. So previous versions of petrol or diesel, okay, so they used to be like, and the octane number used to be different. Okay, so this knocking used to happen regularly. Okay, but now the engines and the petrol manufacturing, all those have improved. So even without tetraethyl, so it is able to prevent knocking. So, okay, because knocking, if knocking was there, so the life of engine will reduce. So for that they used to mix lead, but then it led to heavy lead pollution. Suppose you are standing in a traffic, so you will be keep on observing lead. Okay, so what happens is lead has a very high affinity to hemoglobin. Okay, so generally, like when we take in oxygen, it mixes with the hemoglobin, so that takes to all the cells. And when oxygen is used, it carries the carbon dioxide back. Okay, basically, oxygen and carbon dioxide, they are like they have this very loose chemical bonds with hemoglobin. So that is good. So if you have a very tight chemical bond, so they will not separate. Okay, so it's like one person sits on the bus and never gets down, so that other people cannot go. Okay, so what happens is lead, carbon monoxide, they have a very high bond with hemoglobin. Okay, so because of that, they will not detach themselves. So because of that, what happens? So all our body, it will be filled with this either lead or for carbon monoxide, it forms this compound called carboxyhemoglobin. Okay, so next time when you breathe, there will be no hemoglobin to carry the oxygen you breathe. So no oxygen means no cell respiration. Okay, so no cell respiration means it will weaken our body, leading to death. Okay, so lead will damage. So it will mostly cause nervous system damage. Okay, so and it affects children in particular. Okay, so and one of the biggest victims of this lead pains was children. because it will start flaking. Okay, so children, they'll be moving on all fours. Okay, so and they'll take the hand, keep in the mouth. So ella problem. Okay, and the bigger teddy bears you have on the roadsides, it will be so big, it'll be like 300, 400 rupees. Okay, so what happened was in 2008 and 6 to 8. Okay, both European Union and United States, they banned this lead painted toys. Okay, and China had this massive capacity. They're like they're still selling that toys that are meant for the European and Asian United States market in Asia, and still it is not over. Okay, so it's because their consumption is at a different level. So every year they will buy one toy. For us, the father will be using the same type. I mean, like the watches, one thing. Okay, it will be a generational transfer. Okay, so like that. Okay, so generally, like, I don't know like how it is now. So previously, so when you are going to the higher standards, we used to get the books from our the other relatives who have passed it. Okay, then the schools thought like this is not good for the business, and schools, like, they made it compulsory to give books every year. Okay, now they are giving shoes and all. Okay, for my sister, they gave Adidas shoe for 12th standard, which is 3,500 rupees. During COVID time, she just went for 2 months in 12th standard. Okay, so useless. Schools, that is business. Okay, basically it's consumption. Okay, so that is what happened. So US and European Union were consuming so much of toys. Like when they banned it, it's almost 15 years now, and they're selling it in entire of India and Southeast Asia. But still, the stocks are not yet over. They still have stock at this rate. They still have stocks for 10 years. That is what the consumption levels of the Western countries are. Okay, so and it also affects the kidneys, and it interferes with the development of red blood cells, RBCs. Okay, and if there is nervous system damage or neurological damage, it obviously will lower the intelligence. Okay, it will affect the cognitive abilities, their ability to think and reason and everything. Okay, and this also causes, I mean, since it affects the red blood cells, it also causes anemia, anemic conditions. Okay, next. So try answering this. So I don't think they will ask this question again, because that year they had this fly ash policy. So because of that, they asked this question. Any guesses? Elimination. It does not contain any toxic. So other than silicon dioxide and calcium oxide, it does not contain anything. So that is impossible. Okay. So this is wrong. So if that is wrong, this both will go. Second, you don't need to check because both option. Yeah. Second. Okay. So first is correct of fly ash bricks. So the white, gray color bricks. That's all. Okay. So one advantage of fly ash bricks is they are like uh, so on a longer time. Okay, so for 10 years, if you see, including the maintenance of the building, so it will reduce the construction cost by 30%. Okay, so first is they are stronger, so when during transport, less breakage. Second, they do not absorb much water. So you, when you see, like, while laying bricks, they'll drip the brick in water and then they'll lay. Because when you just keep the dry brick and you put cement over it, the water and the cement will be absorbed with it because it is dry. So just for laying bricks, you need like liters and liters of water, because you put one brick, it will absorb like 200 ml of water. Then you have to let it dry. Okay, or else before letting it dry, if you plaster it, the water inside the brick will start damaging the walls. But since fly ash absorbs less of water, So there's no problem. Okay, and it is also a very good thermal insulator. Okay. So all this, and it is robust, strong. So because of that, so the damage to the walls will be less. Okay. So this answer. So any other? என்னங்க? இப்போ ஃப்ரீ ரேடிகல்ஸ் அப்படின்னா வந்து அந்த அயானிக் ஃபார்ம்லயே இருப்பாங்க. ஸோ ஓசோன் O3. ஓகே, ஸோ இட் இஸ் நத்திங் பட் இந்த மாதிரி ஒரு பாண்ட். ஓகே, when this is broken, okay, so generally வந்து இந்த upper atmosphere chlorine in ionic form will be stable, Cl minus. This is free radical, something that is comparatively stable in ionic form, but என்னன்னா it instead of observing one electron, so it will try to react with any other things. So it will react with this and form O3Cl minus, oxychloride. Then it will again become oxygen plus free oxygen plus chlorine. So now this will break the ozone molecule. So this is how the free radicals start breaking the ozone. Okay, so even in our body, so why do we take this? So long this food has antioxidant properties, and the black tea, இன்னும் சொல்லுவாங்கல்ல, green tea, black tea, lemon, citrus fruits, they have antioxidant properties. So basically too many oxidants in our body, they will react with the tissues and keep damaging the tissues. Okay, so you get older faster. Okay, if you eat foods with antioxidant properties, your aging will stop. I mean, aging will reduce, the rate of aging. Okay, and that is very high in citrus fruits. Okay, citrus fruits, I mean most of the fruits, okay, that has fructose. Okay, so the sugar, there are like sucrose, glucose, fructose, maltose, everything. So fruits have fructose. That is why diabetic patients can eat fruits but not sugar. Sugar in the sense sucrose is not possible. Okay, and milk is also sugar, but it is lactose. Okay, so generally the citrus fruits are, I mean, they neutralize the free radicals. Okay, um, so this is like in UPSC we call this the random friend question. We all have that random friend. He will come and give some information. He will come. I went there. I ate that. That was good, but that is better than this. So you'll be like, where did you go? What did you eat? Which is better than which? Okay. So this is that random friend question. Okay. There is some concern regarding nanoparticles of some chemical elements used by the industry in manufacture of various products. Which product, which chemical, what is the concern? Totally random. The thing is, like, we have thousands of compounds. Everything we, I mean, manufactured compounds, not present in nature, and those are used in millions of products. Okay, and everything has a concern. Okay, and just look at the option. They didn't say what is the concern, what is the product, and also they didn't say what is the chemical substance. Okay, they can accumulate in the environment. Can is a possibility. Will not surety. Can one, it is possible. They can, yes. So if it accumulates in the environment, it will definitely enter the food chain, because accumulation in food chain leads to magnification. Okay, yes, they can enter the food chain. Okay, they can trigger the production of free radicals. See, this is about nanoparticles. Nanoparticles are in smaller scale, which is easily reactive. So what is the property of free radical? They are easily reactive. Nanoparticles in smaller areas, smaller sizes, definitely reactive. Okay, yes, all the three are correct. Okay, so these kind of questions, if it comes, so you should not think so, okay, nanoparticles, I haven't studied much about this. Okay, you can just take a guess. Okay, and mostly 90 will be right. Okay. So what are nanoparticles? So those 1/10 of a meter. Okay, 10 or 10 power minus 9 meter. Okay, so Again, regarding this, a question was there. So nanoparticles are not found in nature, but they are found in nature also. Okay. So in the form of forest fires, volcanic eruption, so dust storms, everything they create nanoparticles. Okay. And heterogeneous means like their varied properties. It's not like they're unique. Okay. And like same particle, same substance, macro scale they behave differently, nano scale they behave differently. Graphite. Okay. It has poor strength, normal conductor of electricity, poor conductor of heat. Nanoscale, superconductor of electricity, superconductor of heat, and you can also make it a very good insulator. Okay, and then very high strength. Okay, more strength than equivalent strand of steel. Okay, so that is a different property. Okay, so they are not only heterogeneous in size but also heterogeneous in properties. Okay, and they can be transported for a longer time, longer distance because very light. Okay, and also suspended in air, again very light. Okay, and most nanoparticles are colloids. So we have seen colloids. So they have their own charge. They don't dissolve but remain suspended. Okay. One simple is curd. Okay. So curd is basically solid in liquid. Solid suspended in liquid or milk. Fat suspended in liquid. Okay. Dust is nothing but solid suspended in air. Fog is liquid suspended in air. So all these are kind of colloids. Okay. Okay, so nanoparticles can also act as colloids, and if they are free radicals, the charge itself is sufficient to keep them suspended. So charger keeps on repelling, so it will not deposit. Okay, so a lot of man-made nanoparticles are released in the environment. So obviously most of these lights are like your prelims pointers. Okay, next, so they can obviously accumulate in the environment. Okay, and they also influence this dust cloud formation. Okay, ozone depletion, status temperature changes in stratosphere. Also, they influence this condensation and precipitation. Okay, nanoparticles also influence condensation, precipitation. Okay, so they also influence this reactive oxygen species. So basically, reactive oxygen is a free radical of oxygen. So Cl minus is free radical of chlorine. So this is basically reactive chlorine species. Okay, chlorine, fluorine, bromine, iodine. That and the group vertical group. Okay, same the reactive oxygen species na free radicals of oxygen. Okay, O2 minus. Okay, and they can also move up in the stratosphere and cause the formation of stratospheric clouds. Okay, and these stratospheric clouds are responsible for ozone hole in Antarctic over summer, over winter. Okay, there is a very big ozone hole in Antarctica over winter. Okay, so which is also caused by this stratospheric clouds. Okay, and this nanoparticles can influence their formation. Okay, okay. So there is only one international convention which is successful, which is Vienna Convention, okay, based on Montreal Protocol. All the others they are like they are yet to take off, or even if they have taken off, they are halfway faltering. Okay, so we can be humans as a species can be as brilliant as exploring the universe or like going into quantum theory and everything. Okay, but also as senseless as not reacting even when the climate before us has changed. So, when this Oppenheimer movie released, a lot of people went to see this. Okay, so one of my friend, he has the zero knowledge of science. Okay, he came to me and said, "So if we do not watch that, who will watch?" Okay, and I asked him, "Okay, so what did Oppenheimer do?" He invented atomic bomb, and I was like, "Okay." So that itself, so he did not invent atom. A lot of people worked on the bomb. He was the project director of the test. That's all. Okay. So the opening itself, like is like same side goal, something like that, or hit wicket. Okay. So and mostly it is for the WhatsApp status or Instagram status. Okay. So, obviously, so they are like we are the seasonal Christopher Nolan fans. So whenever movie comes, they go to Wikipedia, read everything about it, and come and talk to us. And since we have already read that Wikipedia page, we know like where that content is coming from. Okay, so something like next, carbon monoxide. And like when you go outside, I mean most of you are like into first and second year of your preparation. Okay, so when you go and uh, tell like you're preparing, some people will come and say, yeah, recently I read an article about that, and they'll talk about this, and they have, and we will have zero clue about it. So that is perfectly normal because we know we can't read everything. It is the practical thing. But they will think just because we are into UPSC, we will know everything. Okay. If I know everything, definitely I'll not come into UPSC. Okay. I'll be working in some corporate or like making some money. Okay. Fine. Okay. Things like that happen. And that's like, so paper four, you'll be studying ethical dilemma. Okay. So you will face the ethical dilemma either to stop them or like, since they are talking, your relatives, you have to respect them also. Okay, so that is one of the greatest ethical dilemma as a UPSC aspirant you have to face. Be prepared. Okay, next, carbon monoxide. It is a colorless, odorless, tasteless gas. Okay, highly toxic. Okay, so this is a result of incomplete combustion. Okay, carbon monoxide is a result of incomplete combustion. Okay, when the combustion is not complete, so it will not form CO2. Okay, it's just oxygen and carbon dioxide, combining. So it is incomplete. A faster reaction and carbon monoxide will be released. So this will react with hemoglobin to form carboxyl hemoglobin. Okay, and this is a very stable compound. Okay, carboxyhemoglobin is so stable. Okay, so because of that, I mean, carbon monoxide is unstable. Okay, within a few minutes, it will react with another oxygen molecule and form carbon dioxide. But when it reacts with hemoglobin, okay, so this will form carboxyhemoglobin, which is stable. Okay, it takes a long time to be separated. Okay, so that will reduce the oxygen carrying capacity. Okay, because this has reacted. Okay, so that is why when you get caught in traffic for a long time, okay, so the exhaust fumes, okay, that will give you a headache. Okay, why is that headache? Is because right from the exhaust fume more of carbon dioxide is coming, you will be breathing that. Okay, so now the oxygen carrying capacity is reduced and your brain runs less on oxygen, so which is like very close to asphyxiation. Okay, so you, the flow of oxygen. Okay, and this, like too much carbon monoxide causes brain death because oxygen supply is cut off. Okay, so that is the problem with carbon monoxide. Next, carbon dioxide. So this is heavier than air. Okay, and soluble in water. It's so it soluble in water, and it forms carbonic acid, generally mild carbonic acid. They use this term, mild carbonic acid. This is also a part of acid rain and may lead to marble cancers and everything. Okay, it is an asphyxiant gas, so which means when we breathe it, it causes death. Okay, so it is also an important greenhouse gas. It is also a major cause of ocean acidification. So what is ocean acidification? So perfect answer for UPSC. Okay, எதுவுமே தெரியலனா you have to fill 2 pages. So this is how you fill. Okay, so how this happens? Okay, how ocean acidity levels increase? Acid rain. Acid rain, you have to include sulfur dioxide, nitrous oxide also, nitrous oxide rains also. But this is ocean acidification is specific to carbon dioxide. Okay. So what happens? Ocean is also a biggest absorber of carbon dioxide. Okay. Yes, I have told you like green carbon and blue carbon. So that stored in forest is green carbon. Those stored in water bodies is blue carbon. Okay. So what happens when the ocean absorbs too much of carbon dioxide? It again starts forming carbonic acid in the oceans. So that leads to an increase in pH. That is called ocean acidification. Okay. So this ocean acidification will lead to dist destruction of. So one is coral reefs. Okay, because the algae that is also stressed, and coral polyps, they are calcium shells, so that will dissolve. Okay. Next is calcium shelled organisms. Okay, so you go to ocean, so most of the things you find has calcium shell. Okay, so that will obviously dissolve in acid. So these both will be most affected. So apart from this, others will also be affected, but these will be most affected. Okay, and because of this, the temperature of the oceans will also rise. Okay, because you have a hot air, global warming is increasing. Okay, so that air will be in contact with the oceans. Okay, now the temperature of ocean is also increasing. Okay, so which will lead to further destruction of coral reefs. Okay, next. So this causes greenhouse effect. Okay, so natural green. So you see this diagram. The size of this is same. The solar radiation that comes into Earth. So what is how will be what terminology will we use for incoming solar radiation? இல்ல அது வந்து received on the surface. So incoming solar radiation we use one particular term, incoming short wave solar radiation. Okay, so this is coming inside, so it is incoming radiation. Okay, it's coming from the sun, so solar. When it comes, it has more energy. Okay, when energy is more, wavelength will be more, but frequency will be, sorry, when energy is more, wavelength will be less, frequency will be more. Okay, so short wave. Okay, so this comes, and so when sunlight is coming, we have like lot of categories. So high energy particles will be filtered in the magnetosphere or generally ionosphere. So apart from that, next to high energy particles, we have the ultraviolet spectrum. Ultraviolet C will be completely filtered. Okay, B will be partially filtered, A will reaches. So next to ultraviolet is visible spectrum. Okay, so that is why we are able to see it. Okay, or just we are evolved to see that visible spectrum. Okay, this is the cause and effect. Okay, so then it hits the surface, it loses energy. Okay, so now it is going from the surface. Okay, so incoming will change to outgoing. Short wave will change to, it has lost energy, so short wave will change to long wave. Okay, solar will change to terrestrial radiation because it is going from the ground. Now this energy loss will heat the atmosphere. Okay, and this greenhouse gases, they are transparent to this incoming shortwave solar radiation. Okay, so totally transparent, they'll allow it. Okay, but for that, going outside, after the visible spectrum, you'll find infrared spectrum. Infrared spectrum is associated with heat. Okay, this infrared spectrum will be absorbed by these gases. Because of that, the temperature will rise. Okay, that is the problem with greenhouse gases. Okay, so now you can see in the solar radiation order thickness, the arrow thickness is same. Re-radiated heat is also same, but the one that escapes into the atmosphere is bigger for natural greenhouse gases, and one that is re-emitted is bigger for human enhanced greenhouse gases. Okay. So what is the color of the sun? Huh? Where? ஏழு பேர் இருக்கீங்க, ஏழு கலர் சொல்லிடுறீங்களா? Generally, what is the color of the sun? Okay, orange plus yellow. One answer. Any other answers? Okay, red plus orange. Another combination. Java option. White. Okay, so that is why if it is orange or any other color, so snow will be in that color. Generally, it falls on, but it is white in color. Okay, so the orange or red or the other colors which we see is because of scattering of the radiation. Okay. So basically, sun is white in color. Okay, so the image is from the space beyond the atmosphere. In all that, sun will appear white only. Okay. So next is ozone. Okay. So ozone, so it occurs in stratosphere. Stratosphere is the second layer. So after troposphere we have stratosphere. Okay. So one important or the most important biological impact of stratosphere is ozone filtration or UV filtration by ozone. Okay. And this will filter UVC completely, B partial, A on the not filter. Okay. Just remember C is complete, okay, complete filtration. Okay. So if ozone is at ground level, it will have toxic effects. So ozone where we will use in our daily life, is there anywhere we can use? We will be using, we are using, any idea? If you go to water purifier, so UV treated, ozonized, filtered, அப்படின்லாம். Okay. So ozone is basically a bacterial killer. It's a microorganism killer. So what they will do is it will take oxygen from the environment, temporarily blend it and create ozone. So when it mixes with water, it will destroy the cell walls of bacteria. Okay. So because of that, it is a microbial filter kind of. Okay. So most of the water purifiers they have, so then it will be written. Okay. Or the some of us might have this reverse osmosis kit in our home. In some of that, this ozonized water you will have that. Okay. So it is toxic, but we are still mixing in water. Okay. So why is because once we mix in water, the moment it comes to the surface, it will disintegrate. It will finish its work in the water and then it will disintegrate. That's all. Okay. And whenever there's a disaster, okay, so disaster area, people are placed in relief camps. So immediately for drinking water, they'll have this ozone kits. So very small kit in the lower. Okay, they'll take it and have this. Okay. So next, vehicles are also an important source of ozone. Okay. So if we are exposed to ozone, so it will make our eyes itchy and watery. It may also cause it may also lower our resistance to pneumonia because it actually affects our lungs. Okay. It will be like a pungent odor, Marik. Okay, when you smell it, you will have this. Okay, not good smell. That's all. Okay. Next is nitrogen oxide. Okay. So why they are given NOx is so it can be NO, NO2 or NO3. Okay, all this are possible depending on like from where it is emitted or how reactive it is. Okay. So again, they're produced from internal combustion engines, coal burning power plants everywhere. Okay. So in the BS6 phase two, okay, you have this thing. I mean, not phase two. So BS6 layer. Okay, from BS4 to BS6, how much nitrous emissions should be reduced? Okay. So it also causes respiratory health issues. Okay, and it aggravates asthmatic conditions. Okay, and it also forms smog and acid rain. Okay, and they can also cause global cooling. So how can they cause global cooling? Any idea? So global warming can be gases causing global carbon dioxide, sulfur dioxide, methane, all this. So how can this cause global cooling? So okay, global warming, incoming solar radiation. Okay, so is there any way to stop it? So basically, if we stop that, it is global cooling. Greenhouse gas, if we neutralize it, it is global cooling. Correct, Anna? We are just in the reverse process. So in what way can we induce it? So one is the ultraviolet radiation, or sorry, the infrared spectrum which is being observed and observed on it. Okay, we can make sure that that is not observed. That is one thing. Second is we can block the incoming solar radiation, sir. That will lead to global cooling. So what this nitrous oxide will do is it will cause scattering in the upper atmosphere. So that will not come inside. Okay. உள்ள வந்து when it hits the ground, only then there's an energy loss. But what if we block it in the sun, in the upper atmosphere itself? That is done by this nitrous oxide. So that will cause global cooling. Okay, so whenever there's a very huge volcanic eruption, it will pour so much of dust and this nitrous and sulfur oxides in the upper atmosphere that they will cause scattering. Okay, so after this 1882 or 83 Krakatau eruption in Indonesia, so we had the temperature drop by zero point 0.5 degrees Celsius for 3 years. So intense was the eruption. Okay, so here, one governor, I mean, a British governor from Chennai, he said like, I thought someone was shooting at our fort from the ship. Okay, so he thought like a cannon is fired at the fort, but the explosion happened in Indonesia. Okay, Madagascar, there were tsunamis till the coast of Africa. Okay, so much was the intensity of the explosion. Okay, so if that explosion is doubled, so the all the we might have a mass extinction. Okay, so we are very fragile species on a very fragile planet. Okay. Next is sulfur dioxide. Okay, sulfur dioxide again is a toxic gas. It is a pungent and irritating smell. Okay, and so this is one of the gases in sulfur cycle. And this is one of the two in sulfur cycle that is in gaseous form. So what is the other thing? In sulfur cycle, we saw mostly it is sedimentary cycle, and only two are in gaseous form. So one is sulfur dioxide. What is the other thing? Hydrogen sulfate. Which okay. So there will be this random hot spring somewhere in the middle of some place. Okay, so you will have hot water. So all those will contain like high level of sulfur, because hot springs come from, I mean, the source of the hot springs is volcanoes. Okay, there will be one volcanic activity nearby, so that will spread the heat, and underground water table or an artesian well will be closer to that. That will absorb the heat and give the water, hot water. Okay, so you find this random hot springs in the middle of Himalayas. Okay, so that is because Himalayas are young mountains. Okay, so there is still volcanic activity below it. Okay, and what is the source of the volcanic activity? The heat. Any idea? So where do volcanoes get their heat? Hmm? Core. அந்த கோர்ல அந்த heat why is core so hot? The primordial heat. So when Earth was formed, okay, so Earth was this molten ball of gases and liquid. Okay, surface cooled, but the heat is still trapped inside. So whenever you find this term primordial, okay, so it is primordial means anything that is present still from the time it was formed. Okay, the primordial heat is the source of core being hot and liquid, and that pushes volcanoes and all the endothermic reactions inside. Okay. Okay, so it leads to respiratory symptoms and premature death. It also weakens nerves. So what is premature death? Okay, so when you die before your lifespan because of some conditions. Okay, so induced by this pollution or stress, that is premature death. Okay, and like they'll say, right? So 72 is the average life means. So a person working in so and so field will have, because of stress or so in Rajasthan, there is one village. It's called Widows Village because there'll be you cannot find any male above 38 years. Okay, so they'll be basically working in some calcium, the rock cutting things where they'll be inhaling lot of calcium dust, where they'll inhaling lot of calcium dust. So because of that, their lungs will be affected and they die very early. Okay, so all women above 38 years, they don't have. I mean, there is no men actually in that village above 38 years. If he is there, it means he did not go to the work. Okay, source of livelihood. No, now they are having like different sources, but like 10 years back, the calcium blocks cutting and the industries. So ரொம்ப டஸ்ட் இருந்துட்டு you have to and all those working in coal mining, silica industries, silicosis, pulmonofibrosilicosis. That's one disease. Okay, because of the silica fibers in your lungs, okay, that causes like I mean, you start working in 10 to 15 years, you will die. Okay. And this is not like one of the dangerous industries. Okay, you go to this lithium mining, cobalt mining in Congo and everywhere. So you will find like kids working. So there it will be like 18 or 19 years they'll be dying because of these diseases. Okay. Basically, all of us are having mobile phones. Basically, all of us are war criminals in one way or the other. Okay. So anything, any lithium ion battery you have, you need cobalt to stabilize it, or else it will blast. Okay. So cobalt mining comes from this Congo region. Okay, in this level of room, so there'll be like 50 people mining from there, cutting, moving the rocks and everything, and most of it is children. Okay. Uh-huh. uh, First, as an industry that is not recognized. Okay, so if you ask, so you are owning a Samsung phone, okay, Samsung will never acknowledge that they are buying from that guys. Okay, so they will buy from some vendor, so he will try to exploit. So technically that is not happening. So this is like round tripping. Okay, so Samsung or Apple, or they will never accept that they are buying from this so and so guys. Okay, so because if they buy that, so they will, and there are these regulations. Okay, suddenly they'll say, so you are buying wrong, so we will boycott your products. Okay, so on the link is got straight links. But even in the black market, it's more profitable to replace masks and people. Yeah. So why are they have a lot of people. So it's not black market. So that is unregulated market. See, black market is something. Uh, this is not even a market. Okay, it's like come take. You need food. Take it. If you want, you bring your mask. Okay, but அவனுக்கு வந்து like he will not even have proper money to buy some water. Okay, then masks are luxury. Okay, if he survives the next day, it is a luxurious life for them. Okay, like that. Next, so how and the sulfur content from BS4 to BS6. So in diesel vehicles, they almost reduced by 80%, and petrol Bharat stage. Bharat stage. Okay, so we started this emission standards from 2000, I think 2000 or 2003. The Yamaha RX 100 bike was there that was phased out because of Bharat standards. Yeah, yeah. Anything that is not in compliance with this Bharat stage emissions, that should not be produced. Older vehicles you can drive. Okay, so as per Bharat stage norms, so it is only profitable. I mean, you cannot make a two-stroke engine. The RX 100 was a two-stroke engine. Okay, so only four-stroke engines can deliver that clean air. Okay, so it was in line with the European emissions. Okay, so uh, some things will have the sticker EU norms, EU4, EU6, European emissions. Okay, so what happened was India was 5 years behind this, so they will change every 5 years, and India was catching up. Okay, so when they had European standards 4, we are using Bharat stage 3. Okay, now like in 2020, So when COVID lockdown was announced, March 23, I think, COVID lockdown. April 1 was the shift to BS6. Okay. But previously it was shift to BS5. So then they thought like stage by stage up varaka, so we can just have a quick jump. So our airs will be cleaner. That is one thing. And one advantage is, so we can just export our automobile just like that. Before that, we have to make separate engines for export to Europe. Okay, so now we are like in line with the European standards. Okay, so every stage is like an improved version. Now, even in Bharat stage BS6, phase 2 has been released. Okay, so phase 2 compilation, phase 2 compliance has to be done. Okay, which is more cleaner there. Okay, so that is why in newer in the Bharat, after Bharat stage 6 has been introduced, so many cars stopped the diesel engines because it is hard to bring diesel engine to Bharat 6 in that model. Okay. And even many bike companies stopped that. The Hero Naveen on the small scooter with like bike tank. Honda Naveen. Okay, they stopped that also because that is not feasible in Bharat 6. Okay, so like that. Okay, and BS6 is not only for vehicles, it is also for generators. Okay, generators also will have the BS6 stickers. Huh? Internal combustion engines. So basically like that. Okay. So we'll take a short break, then we'll be okay. So 11:45.
Is not visible, sir.
Okay.
Okay, sir.
So the previously the asbestos was like a low cost construction material, so mostly it be used in roofings. Okay. So but the problem with asbestos is it disintegrates very easily. Okay. Like roofing like it will be more exposed to sunlight and rain. Okay. So every time expands contracts. Okay. So if you have any, if you have seen any of your friends or you have any place in your house with asbestos sheet, so அது கீழ இருக்கிற ஒரு any object, so just like 4 to 5 days you just wipe it, you can find the asbestos powder. Okay, so it keeps on falling and that is like carcinogenic, that causes lung cancer. Okay, so it is basically a group of fibrous, it's basically a group of fibrous materials of all this. Okay, so it causes lung cancer, and the disease itself is called asbestosis. Okay, so it is a different chronic, and so you'll always have this the pus மாதிரி ஃபார்ம் ஆயிட்டு இருக்கும். Okay, எப்பவுமே liquid இருக்கும். Okay, சளி இருக்கிற மாதிரி இருக்கும். Okay, so that is one condition. Okay, and it can also be fatal. Okay, and can also be fatal. Okay, so next, volatile organic compounds. Okay, so organic na anything that has carbon carbon bonds. Okay, so volatile na unstable. Okay, anything that is unstable. Okay, so carbon based chemicals that can easily evaporate at room temperature. So one thing is formaldehyde. Okay, the boiling point of formaldehyde is minus 19 degrees Celsius. Okay, so this is generally used in the preserving the dead bodies. Okay, in the mortuary, so they'll have the dead bodies preserved using formaldehyde. Okay, and uh, recently, I mean, or anything, and the fishes இருக்குல்ல, so the deep sea fishing. Okay, so we are a tropical area, so the temperature is high, so the biological activity or bacterial action will be high. Okay, sometimes to preserve it they'll put the fish in formalin. Okay, so which is a health hazard, it is actually banned. Okay, so they will like time to time they will seize formalin laced fishes. Okay, so it causes this irritation to eyes and nose allergies. Okay, eyes and nose and allergies. Okay, so it is almost used in many products. So perfumes, hairsprays, so furniture polish, hair fresheners. Okay, so எல்லாமே பாத்தீங்கன்னா, so they'll be at room temperature, but they'll be under high pressure. Okay, so once it comes out, so it will spread. Okay, it will dissipate very fast. Okay, and like it will spread in the environment. So we'll so and there's one name to it. Okay, for the sprays or room sprays. So you just spray here, but you can feel it there. Okay, it will easily spread across the environment. Okay, you just forgot the name. So if that contains any of the compounds that are lethal, or I mean that are harmful to us, so it will also spread very fast. Okay, that will also spread very fast. Okay, so it causes irritation, again irritation to eye, nose and throat, nausea and other conditions. And long term health effects is liver. Okay, so mostly the pollutants that accumulate in fat, okay, or that are soluble in fat will accumulate in the liver. Okay, so because liver is a storage of nutrients or energy. Okay, so it will accumulate there. Okay, so over a course of time, so we'll have liver damages. So all those foodies, the binge eating. So the first organ to get damaged is your liver. Okay, so acid rain. The condition for acid rain is it should have a pH less than 5.6. The pH is less than 7, it is acid. Less than 5.6, it is acid rain. So what is the pH of drinking water? Little above 7. Okay, exact 7 is distilled water. So if accidentally you drink distilled water, you will have the wounds. Okay, புண்ணாயிடும் full. Okay, because it is highly reactive. Okay, so blood. Huh? 1 point. Little above, again that is also above 7. Okay, so why most of the tablets we eat are basic is, okay, if we have any diseases, so the blood pH will start reducing. Okay, if our blood pH goes towards acidic level, okay, it will lead to a lot of internal organ damages. Okay, so that is why even you go to Siddha or Ayurveda or anything, so the medicines they give or treatments they give will actually take you to basic levels. Okay, it will move you away from acidic levels. Okay, so huh? Yeah? Above 7. Okay, 7.8 or 8.2, something like that. Close to 8. Okay, so that is why whenever you have uh, uh, some any health issues, they will say like eat less of cooked food, take more of fruit juice, other things. Okay, because cooked foods are acidic. Okay, they'll move your pH to acidic levels. Okay, so if you go to this Kerala or anything for this, and there is this thing called Ayurvedic. So 10 days or 15 days, depending on how much money you have, you can go to that program. So how many days? Okay. So all those days, maximum it will be uncooked food or boiled rice. Okay, mostly uncooked. Okay. There'll be no fried thing. Okay, because fried increases the pH towards acidic. So that is why the healthy populations of Japan, Korea, anywhere you take, they have less of fried and most of boiled. Okay, so that is the thing. Okay, when you fry something, so you are like leading to heavy disintegration of fibers in the food, which will be acidic. Okay, so acid rain is because of oxides of sulfur and nitrogen, which will cause sulfur acid rain or nitrous acid rain. Okay, so this is how marble is affected by acid rain. Okay, so this is marble cancer in this area. So this is one question which has been asked like 2 times in the last 12 years. Simple question. Then answer D, nitrous oxide. So why not A, B, C? Yeah, on the A, B, and C can be eliminated. Nitrogen. So if nitrogen reacts with rain, so every time we'll have acid rain because mostly it is nitrogen. But nitrogen is unreactive. Okay. So here carbon monoxide does not react. Carbon dioxide may react. Okay. Again, ozone does not react. Okay. So impact of acid rain on. So acid rain, na, so we always think the skin irritation, damages to marbles. Okay, but humans lay on the, so it has like lot of impacts. So it can skin irritation, eye irritation. Okay, so it can cause, so for example, somewhere acid rain is falling, so it will lead to increased decomposition of that area. Okay, in the form of putrefaction. Okay, so generally even anaerobic decomposition can take place. Okay, if we are living near that area. Okay, so that will lead to problems. Okay, so especially in and around Palikarni Lake. Okay, based on the wind direction, so that area, I mean, if you are like around 2 to 3 kilometers in that. Okay, or if you go this side, there are 2 or 3 dumping areas near Riddles. Okay, so mostly they'll be dumping like medical waste. Night or night they'll come and dump and go. Okay, if you are living in that area, so if wind direction is against you, so you will find the smell. Okay, and it can also cause effect on soil. Okay, so soil, it can cause leaching of nutrients. Okay, the nutrients will be on the top of soil, so அங்கிருந்தா தான் it will lead to humus formation, which can be absorbed by the plants. But this is acid rain, so it will dissolve everything easily. Okay, so leaching is movement under the influence of gravity. Okay, it will dissolve and take the nutrients below. Okay, and it will also harm the microorganisms. Okay, and it will lead to an increase in ammonia. Okay, basically nitrous oxide. With rain, it forms mild nitric acid. Okay, so that might disintegrate and or react to form compounds of ammonia. Okay, so when there is more of ammonia, so it will lead to salinization. Okay, which will reduce the fertility of the soil. Okay, also more salinity na less of bacterial growth, because bacteria salinity இருந்துச்சுன்னா it will not grow. See, you have anything, they say like take bath in salt water, that will, this will grow. So for food preservation we add salt. Okay, salt is actually against bacterial growth. Okay, so because of this, because of salinization, the decomposition will reduce. So decomposition reduce ஆச்சு அப்படின்னா water level, humus formation will be affected. So all this will lead to loss of என்னங்க? Ah, that is one reason. Okay, generally in uh, C, it will be most of disintegration rather than decomposition. Okay, so it will be like very much like soaked in water. Okay, even small movement of water will lead to the removal of the tissues. Okay, or any other organism will come and eat. Okay, so decomposition is like very very slow. Okay, so before decomposition it will disintegrate. Okay, next, effect on aquatic life. Okay. So most of the eggs of aquatic animals, they are not calcium eggs. Okay, they're like tissues. Excuse me. If you see the eggs of fish பார்த்தீங்க அப்படின்னா, it will be like some jelly compound மாதிரி. Okay, so acid rain will dissolve all those. Okay, so that is one thing. Okay, eggs and sperms of fishes will be dissolved because of the pH changes. Okay, so also it kills their gametes. Okay, so gametes are again the smaller eggs. When they hatch, they'll the normal fish மாதிரி இருக்காது. It'll be like the புழு மாதிரி இருக்கும், like worms. So those, that will also be affected. Again, microbes will be affected because of acid rain. Okay, and leaching. Okay, metals bound on soils released in aquatic environment means basically soil and it is leached and added to the aquatic environment. Okay, so this slide you just go through for your prelims point of view, but make sure you remember this in mains point of view. Okay, so this and next slide is both for mains. Okay, next. So because if they ask the impact of acid rain, you must be able to write all this. So effect on humans, effect on soil, effect on aquatic life, terrestrial life, microorganisms and buildings. Okay, so terrestrial life basically plants. Okay, so plants la it will affect the leaves. Leaves la it will affect the when upper part of leaf is affected, it affects the chlorophyll. When lower part of the leaf is affected, stomata. Roots are also affected because root hairs are exposed. So basically the white root hairs, and the branched part of roof, that will not suffer any much damage, and that also has no function. It is a white part that has function which will absorb the nutrients. Okay. So when that is affected, the ability to absorb the nutrients is affected. Okay. So when chlorophyll is affected, photosynthesis activity is affected. Stomata affected chepna, so the ability to breathe, that is affected. Okay. So cuticle of plants and leaching also will affect. So it will lead to groundwater. Okay. Next, on microorganisms. Okay. So for bacteria to be there, there must be an optimum pH. Okay. Bacteria can survive in alkaline environment also, but it should be lightly alkaline. So the 7 to 8. Beyond that, the growth of bacteria will be harmed or restricted. Okay. So fungi prefer acidic environment. Okay. For example, there's a balance. Okay. Now it becomes more acidic. So what will happen? There will be more growth of fungi. Okay. So the blue-green bacteria. So generally, when we call something as blue-green bacteria, it also refers to algae. Okay. So the bacteria that can produce their own food. Okay. So because some species of algae are also called bacteria, and the blue-green bacteria. Okay. And the microbial species will shift from bacteria to fungi. Okay. And fungi, they are not very good with wet decomposition. They are very good with dry decomposition. Okay. So wet decomposition is not like, I mean, fungus may grow on it, but the decomposition will not be effective. Okay. So when you compare the decomposition of fungi and bacteria, bacteria are more effective. Okay. Because bacteria can decompose even from the inside, but fungi generally grows on the surface. Okay, so bacteria is like a faster decomposed. Okay, upper buildings, monuments. So so marble cancer, buildings for cement. Okay, cement contains calcium. Okay, acid is the enemy of cement. Okay, and this iron pipes, all those will be rusted. Okay. So almost most of the electric poles are either, I mean, here Chennai we don't have much of electric poles. In the city, outside we go, the electric poles, they are either cement or steel or iron. Okay, so all those will be affected. Okay, so you can take step by step. Okay, so microorganisms, so terrestrial life, aquatic life, monuments, and the maripola. Okay, so this is one thing before this ocean pollution. Okay, so because before going to ocean pollution, having an idea of like the diversity of oceans will be, so this link, if you go, so you can keep seeing like in the depth, at what depth what kind of organisms will be there. Okay, so generally we say like as we go the pressure increases in sea because of the water above us, it keeps on pushing. Okay, but you'll be surprised to find there are organisms like at 5,000 meters deep. Okay, but generally even a submarine, if it goes like 2,000 meters, it will crumble because of the pressure. Okay, so this is at 12 meters. The polar bear can go till 24 meters. Okay. Huh? Oh, வரலையா? Just a minute. Okay. So polar bear 24 meters. So as you go deep, the whales. Okay. So it's 250 meters. So scuba diving, so 342 meters is the record. So still, okay, so crab 3.8 meters. So octopus 1000 meters. So we have this bioluminescence. Okay, bioluminescence means it can, and the minmini puchi, fireplace, it can produce light from its own body using the chemicals. So there is this angler fish, so which will use bioluminescence. So whatever comes to us light, it will eat. It is both a adaptive mechanism and a mechanism for prey. Okay. So 1290 meters. So we'll go fast because keeps on going. Okay. Still we have 4600 meters. So again another species at 5000 meters. So I think till 6000 meters we'll have, beyond that there will be nothing. Okay, that's all. So till around 5800 meters we have living species. Okay. 5620. Huh? இல்ல அது கீழ தெரியும். Okay, the thing is like okay, there's still species, sorry. Okay, the number of species will be less, and they don't rely on sight. Okay, they rely on other things, other senses like shock waves. Okay, so here another thing is there, 6900 meters. So this is the ocean biodiversity. Okay, so technically we have successfully mapped this geological mapping of oceans is done in the elevation, because um, we would have mapped it using and the bathymetry techniques, sonar. Okay, but this, sorry, the exact idea of what is, so what species is there, so all those we don't know, and we are still discovering. Okay, it's not like we don't know, we are discovering. Okay. Okay, next, ocean acidification. Okay, so this is one form of pollution where excess of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere leads to excess of carbon dioxide in the oceans, which will lead to acidification. Okay, so carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. Okay, and most carbon dioxide in the atmosphere is absorbed by oceans rather than forests. Okay, so this will lead to formation of carbonic acid. Okay, leading to increase in ocean acidity. Okay, clear? Okay. So one important impact of ocean acidification is coral bleaching. Okay, this is healthy coral. Okay, healthy coral reefs. Now, because of acidity, so the corals have started leaving. Okay, the corals are leaving. So what you see is coral polyps. Okay, the algae zooxanthellae has left. Okay, so here we have the dead corals. Okay, because when the algae was there, it was able to grow fast. Okay, but then the food source has gone. Okay, because coral polyps they can only produce 10% of their food. They depend on 90% of the food on the zooxanthellae algae. Okay, so because of this, the coral reefs start to die. Okay, so which is the biggest coral reef structure in the world? Hmm? Australia, Great Barrier Reef, and the eastern margin of continent, and it is the only biological organism visible from the sky. I mean, very visible from space station. Space station, you can actually see the pattern of the Great Barrier Reef. Okay. I mean, it's not a single organism, but or continuous structure. Okay, fine. So try solving this. Okay, one request. So whenever you're yawning, so please do cover your mouth because it's really tough for me, and I'm also struggling. Okay, because people are continuously yawning. Okay, தப்பு கிடையாது. எல்லாரும், I know you are taking too much of oxygen. Okay, but calcareous. Calcareous means anything that contains calcium. A phytoplankton na வந்து phyto na, okay, whenever this phyto comes, it has chlorophyll. It produces food from uh, light, sunlight. Okay, so plankton na the plant, I mean the இங்க எப்படி plant ன்னு சொல்றோம், the sea plants. Okay, that floats actually. Those are called planktons. Okay, or algae ன்னு சொல்லுவோம் சிம்பிளா. Okay, phytoplanktons. Sometimes என்ன ஆகும்னா நான் கொஸ்டின் அவர்ல இருந்து காப்பி பண்ணிட்டு ஆப்ஷன் மட்டும் மேபி that mismatch. So what is the answer? All the three. All three. Okay. So next, effects of ocean acidification. Okay. So முதல்ல சொன்ன மாதிரி, so it leads to coral bleaching because the algae zooxanthellae on that is stressed up, so that starts to leave. Okay, இப்போ so basically bleached corals is not dead corals. Okay, it is just the coral polyps are exposed. Next stage is dying. Okay, dying of corals or mass extinction of corals and so on. That is next stage of coral bleaching. Okay, so then it also harms the calcifying organisms, anything that has calcium shells. Okay, so that those are called calcifying organisms. Okay, so because it is acidic. Okay, so calcium dissolves in acid. Okay, so another and the exoskeleton. So mostly in a fishes species, but it has an exoskeleton. Okay, so even you take a normal walk on beach, every time you will be stepping on that shells, smaller shells. Okay, next, noise pollution. Okay, so what is the optimum noise level? 45 decibels by day and 35 decibels by night. Anything above 80 decibels is hazardous. Okay, so you have 50 decibels and 60 decibels. So 60 decibels is how much times higher than 50? 60 decibels ko 50 decibels ko absolute value la what is the difference? Hey, அப்படி இல்ல, எத்தனை percentage? Okay, but actually it is 100%. Over 10 decibel is next level. Earthquake la 5 Richter and 6 Richter is not 10%. Okay, 5 Richter is into 10 is 6 Richters. Okay, so that is the same way. Okay, 50 decibels and 60 decibels. So actually 50 decibels into 10 is 60 decibels. Okay, so noise pollution will lead to irritation. So obviously when that we all know. So increase in blood pressure, so loss of temper, so mental depression, so decrease in work efficiency, loss of hearing. Okay, so all this may be temporary or permanent. Okay, so இங்க பாருங்க, so optimum decibel level is 45. Okay, so what is the decibel level of normal conversation? So what are they saying? Talk less. Okay, so basically now I am also a noise pollution for you. Okay, fine. So this is the, so இதெல்லாம் hazardous 80 decibel. So what is the level of your alarm clock? Obviously when we are sleeping in the morning, alarm clock is hazardous to sleep. Okay, but that is at 80 decibels. Okay, So this is the thing. Okay, so the normal law. Okay, so almost whatever you are using, the blender, the mixie. Okay, all those are hair dryer. எல்லாமே வந்து okay. So we might think the problem is we are so used to the noise pollution around us, we are becoming immune to them. Okay, so they will say like if a person from 19th century comes and stands here, he cannot concentrate on anything. The food is so salty, the food is so sugary, food is so oily, he might die in 6 months. Okay, so that is the difference between the time then and the time now. Okay, so all this chart is actually an older chart. If you take the newer chart, it is revised. Okay, so L3 they would have had 5 to 10 decibels. Okay, so basically we are like half deaf compared to our previous generations. So all this is happening. Okay, next is water pollution. Okay, so this class we'll have a general overview of pollution. So next class, so we'll be specific to one or two pollutions. Then tomorrow it will be combining with other batch. Okay. So next, water pollution. So again, addition of undesirable substances to water. Okay. So it can be due to leaching of minerals, erosion, surface runoff. Okay. Or you are adding something with the knowledge. Okay, so water pollution we can classify as point sources and non-point sources, like we classify the qualitative, quantitative, primary pollutant, secondary pollutant. So these can be classified as point sources and non-point sources. So what is a point source? Anything that has origin at a specific point. Suppose you are finding mercury in water, or in a lake, you can point it out to that particular mercury power plant, or sorry, mercury plant. Okay, but you are finding this nitrogen fertilizer in water, you cannot point out anywhere. So you are having fully agricultural fields, you don't know from which field it has come. Other non-point source. Okay, so basically surface runoff. Okay, for example, the dust that is, I mean the waste that is being dumped in and around at the edge of every street for a பெரிய rain, it totally washed away. You cannot find from where that came. Okay, so that is non-point source. Okay, wow. So what are the causes of water pollution? So mainly sewage water. Okay, and water that has like dissolved oxygen less than 8 is contaminated, less than 4 is polluted. Okay, generally if it has, if the DO level is between 3 to 5, so organisms cannot survive. Dissolved oxygen, because pollution அதிகமாச்சுன்னா, so for decomposition it will start taking oxygen. Okay, so its oxygen demand will increase, be it biological oxygen demand or chemical oxygen demand. Okay, இல்ல, அது அவருக்கும் எனக்கு ஒரு கான்வெர்சேஷன், அவர் கொட்டா விட்டாரு, எனக்கும் ட்ரிகர் ஆயிடுச்சு. Okay, so 3 to 5 na, uh, uh, it is not suitable to live. Okay, the organisms, if it goes to 3 to 5, it will die off. So that is why polluted water is placed at 4. Okay, so if it is below 4 na, highly polluted. Okay, so any discharge from any industry, it will lead to pollution. Okay, so BOD is always less than COD, chemical oxygen demand. Okay, we have seen biological oxygen demand is only for living organisms. Okay, and those that come from industries are a part of this chemical oxygen demand. Okay, so which will also, COD will also include BOD. Okay, basically BOD is, sorry, COD is BOD plus chemicals. Okay, so this might be asked, okay, because UPSC also has a habit of asking some very basic science terms. Okay, and anything you deposit in the water, that will first start to decompose, and when decomposition happens, it will take oxygen. So when oxygen is taken from the water, the dissolved oxygen will reduce. Okay, so agricultural runoff. So what are some sources of pollution? Is one is agricultural runoff, nitrates, phosphates, ammonia. So all those will go. So fertilizers, so NPK, nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium. Okay, pesticides, insecticides, fungicides, herbicides. Okay, so generally anything that has the CID, it means killer. Homicide, suicide, genocide, fratricide. Okay, so herbicide means which kills the herbs. Insecticide, which kills insects. Okay, and the most of the pesticides are non-degradable. Okay, so why means, so if you are spraying a pesticide, it degrades in 1 or 2 days. So which means you have to keep on spraying. So what will the farmer think? So this is not effective. So once I spray, it is only working for 2 days. So what they will do is they'll make sure that it is very resistant to degradation. Okay. So obviously they will have a shelf life, long shelf life. Okay. And like they will bioaccumulate in the environment and damage our internal organs. Uh, Pesticide is the common term, the umbrella term. So another pesticide includes insecticides. Okay, பொதுவா Google Translate. Okay, Google Translate இன்னைக்கு நான் ஏதோ translate பண்ணேன். Okay, for taking class because when I am taking for AIM, English தமிழ் ரெண்டுமே ஒரே ஸ்டைல் இருக்கும். Something I translated ஏதோ வந்துச்சு. Okay, so you don't trust Google Translate. Okay, fine. Especially not in science terms. When you're about to translate science terminologies, please don't use Google Translate. So see the Google Translate that is now, because I have been using Google Translate since 2017. Okay, and like I was not using for a brief period because when you use Google Translate, actually your workload increases. And there was this big project. So me and some of my friends, we were working during COVID to improve Google Translate. You can actually improve it. You go to that, you start. There's one option called contribute. So they'll give you one sentence. You have to make changes to it, and it is machine learning. Okay, it corrects itself. Okay, so basically, we were working for Google so that Google works for us. Okay. Now it is like very fine. Okay, only so history, sociology, PubAd, political science, all this is fine, but never try science. Okay. Ah, Day of Deliverance. Jinnah, when the Congress ministries resigned after the World War I, World War II was declared. Okay, I think September 3 then World War started. September 1, invasion of Poland. September 3, the World War declaration. So the Congress ministries will resign. So Jinnah will say it's a day of deliverance. Okay, I tried that. So என்ன வந்துச்சு பிரசவ நாள்னு வந்துச்சு. Okay, so which is like the delivery of baby. Okay, so that is some of the worst ones. And luckily I saw that. Okay, and it was not the title, so கீழ இருந்துச்சு. Okay, so luckily I saw it, and if I would have put it on like the video, it would be a permanent meme material. That I know. Okay, so kind of, so be careful. Next, thermal and radiation pollution. Okay, so thermal pollution we have seen use of coolant water. I mean the disposal of coolant water in water bodies. Okay, so all industries we have boilers. Okay, so that has to be constantly cooled. So we use water. So that water will be degraded. Okay, especially if it is closer to a water source. If you are buying water, they will reuse the coolant water. Okay, but if you are having it very closer to a water source, so they just take the water, leave it out. Okay, because they know the next morning it will come back to normal, heat will be radiated. Okay, so this will cause thermal pollution. Okay, so how much the temperature will increases 10 to 15 degrees Celsius above the ambient temperature. Okay, so one main impact is, or the only impact in this is, it decreases the dissolved oxygen. Okay, so because of this, it will the water body will become unsustainable to live. Okay, next, nuclear radiation pollution. நம்ம எல்லாருக்கும் தெரியும். Okay, so the molecules, no, the atoms or compounds with higher molecular, higher atomic number. Okay, higher atomic number will have unstable nucleus. Okay, the nucleus will be unstable. So because of this, there will be constant radioactivity. Okay, that will lead to, I mean, if that is not properly contained, that will lead to radiation pollution. Okay, and like in most of the medical equipment, the scanning equipments, MRI, CRT, CRT, then another CAT, CAT. So that will have this radioactive uh, uh, compounds inside it. Okay. Sometimes when they are not properly disposed, because one incident happened in Delhi in 2011 or 12. Okay, they were not properly disposed. So the workers, they were dismantling that, they were exposed to this radiation pollution. Okay. And one thing they used to say, if you are exposed to radiation pollution, so the safest way to survive it is to die. If you survive it, it's like too disastrous. Next is oil spills with regard to water pollution. Okay, so oil spills, it is because of leakage of oils in the water bodies. Okay, and it can take place in ground also. Okay, so one problem with this oil spill is oils are lighter than water and they are sticky. Okay, they spread but they don't break. Okay, the stickiness keeps on uh, glued together. Okay, so this will lead to two important damages. First, they will block the sunlight. Okay, so the aquatic plants cannot grow. Okay, then they will form a film between the atmosphere and water. Okay, so because of this, there is no interaction in that layer. So dissolved oxygen coming in will also be affected. Okay, we have seen in this lactic water bodies. So when river water keeps on moving up and down, so it will trap the oxygen. But if a layer is formed, okay, so there can be no interaction between the air and water, so that will also reduce the dissolved oxygen. Okay, so biological activity will be compromised. Fishes, they will start, I mean, when they come to the surface, they will take in and it will stick to their surface. Their I mean, their life will, aquatic life will be affected. So birds. Okay, so one of the biggest oil spill in the human history is British petroleum oil spill in Gulf of Mexico. I think 2008 to 12, so in that period something happened. Okay, so they were asked to pay some 10 to 20 billion dollars as fine or something around that. Okay, so that is one of the dangerous things. And oil spills do not come from the oil wells alone. Okay, or ship, if it oil container, if it runs ground or if it breaks in the middle. Okay, there are a lot of stories where oil containers actually broke because of storms. They are like very bigger bodies. Okay, the length romba heavier, and inside fully it is filled with liquid. Okay, so there is one wave pushing this side, another wave pushing this side during a storm. So the liquid, it will keep moving on different sides, so it will lead to rupture and will break. Those are also very disastrous. Okay, so oil being lighter, it forms a thin film and cuts off the oxygen. Okay, so it will lead to suffocation and metabolic disasters. Okay, and sometimes if we eat that, we will also have that issues. Okay, next, arsenic. Okay, so arsenic is one pollutant. So it is generally found in industrial and mine discharges. Okay, and this is found in the groundwater levels in most of the North Indian states, especially along the Ganges basin. Okay, so this will cause black foot disease, lung cancer, and skin cancer also. So black foot disease is basically what will happen. The arsenic will block the nerve endings. Okay, so there will not be any blood circulation. So because of that, if there is no blood circulation, your skin will start to turn black. Then it will start to decompose from the inside. Okay, so that is called black foot disease. Okay, so I, regarding this, if you are like weak hearted, please don't Google search it. I mean, don't Google image search. Okay, normal Google search is fine. Okay, next, fluoride. So it is generally present in drinking water, நம்மளால தெரியும். And previously the pastes, one of the USP, unique selling point for the paste is it is good in fluoride because it is also necessary for your dental cavity. Okay, but excess of fluoride can also be problematic. Okay, so it causes this knock knee syndrome. Okay, so the joints will become stiff and like the knock knee on the internal bending மாதிரி இருக்கும். Okay, and every time you move, you will have this sound. Tuck, tuck, no. There's the normal sound which, like, after we are sitting for some time, so over 1 hour or more, that is different. Okay, this we will have permanent. It will be painful. Okay, and it will also cause skeletal fluorosis. Okay, so it is common in states where there is a high fluoride in groundwater. Okay, generally there will be high fluoride in groundwater, and if they start consuming more of groundwater, it will lead to fluoride issues. Okay, so try answering this. Is there anything you can eliminate? இருக்கும். Actually, that is the thing, because when this question was asked, they found traces of uranium in drinking water in North India. Okay, but whether it is fissile uranium or normal uranium, that is different. Okay, not all uranium are radioactive. Okay, so in the isotopes, okay, same atomic number but different mass number. So more neutrons, so it will increase the mass of the nucleus. It will be unstable, which will lead to fission reaction. Okay, so not all uranium are fissile. Okay, so the one thing you should eliminate here is formaldehyde. So what is the boiling point of formaldehyde? -18. பார்த்தோம்ல. So water na, it is in liquid state, generally greater than 0. So it cannot stay dissolved. Okay, so just eliminate formaldehyde, and uranium is present. So 1, 3, and 5. So orbital is some pesticide or weedicide, something like that. Okay, so 1, 3, and 5. So actually this, there is very less chance this for this to be asked, because that it was the UPSC. I mean that the news was in current affairs. Okay, so arsenic we have already seen. Okay, so consumption of mercury compounds will lead to Minamata disease. Okay, so because this was found first in the place of Minamata in Japan. Okay, so there was a mercury factory which was disposing its content in water. Okay, in lake water. Okay, so what happened, the fishes started consuming that, and cats started consuming the fish. Now because of the mercury pollution, so cat's nervous system was affected. Okay, so nervous system is affected, you have no coordination. Okay, so this led to the symptom called dancing cat syndrome. Okay, so because for us it looked like cat was dancing, but it was actually dying. Okay, now when humans also started consuming, because why cats are first affected means they have a very smaller body. We can, I mean, we cook the fish and eat, so we cook and clean and eat, so there is a very great chance of uh, the diluted mercury getting inside us. But cat eat everything till the bones. Okay, so they were most affected. Okay, so then they had this convention to phase out mercury, so that is why now you cannot find much of the CFL bulbs. Previously the sodium vapor bulbs, then they moved to CFL, now it is mostly LED. Okay, so where you will find most of CFL bulb is in shops where they sell silver to make it glossy, and where there is gold they will have this yellow bulbs. So when you buy gold and come out, the color will go off. Similarly, when you buy silver and come out, the color will go off, because that, for that lighting effect. Now we have this the yellow color LED bulbs. So before that it was the and the sodium vapor bulbs, the tungsten bulbs. Okay, so you go into a gold shop, it will be like a different an experience. You come out, it will be like life a dull. Okay, the entire life will be like some, nothing is there. Okay, so next, lead. So lead is also a heavy metal, so its presence will cause lead poisoning. Okay, and this will also react heavily with hemoglobin. Okay, so it will lead to headache, anemia. So when it reacts with hemoglobin, oxygen carrying capacity is affected, so obviously anemia. So loss of muscle power, and the gums teeth la, so you'll have this line, so black color, yellowish, sorry, bluish line mari irukum. Okay, that is the bluish line around the gum. Okay, and previously the water pipes used to be coated with lead, but then they phased out, lead paints are phased out, a lot of things based on lead are phased out. And previously most of the cosmetics used to come with lead. Okay, because what happens is when you use the lead cosmetics, it reduces your oxygen carrying capacity, it makes you pale, so which makes you feel like fairer. Okay, because this in the 16th and 17th, 16th, 17th and 18th century in Europe, it was called Victorian ages. There people deliberately used to apply lead as lipsticks because it made them pale and look good. Basically just to show you are better, you are killing yourself. Okay, next, water with cadmium can cause this itai disease. Okay, so basically it's also called English la ouch disease. No? So ouch na valikuduna, so when someone pricks you with something we call it ouch. Okay, so basically every movement of you will be painful. Itai means pain in some language. Okay, so basically every movement of you will be painful because of cadmium, and it is also carcinogenic. It can cause cancer in lungs and liver. Okay, so we used to make fun of this. Okay, so Tamil la cancer na ayyoma disease. Okay, because it is painful. Okay, so that is the thing. Okay, with respect to cadmium. Okay, so next we have a bigger topic, so we'll complete because eutrophication is a bigger topic. So obviously, after this also you have my class, so we'll meet at 2 o'clock and finish this.